In this video, I will be packaging VLC executable installation file into MSI file using WiX. The main reason for that is to deploy the software using group policy. I'm starting this video from my GitHub page, and that's because there are a few bits of information here that I will be using for this video. And I will leave the URL in the description down below. Also, in the bottom of the page, you can find more of my videos that are related to this topic. For example, here you can find videos about how to install and use WiX. And then there is a video about PSExec, and I will be using PSExec to execute the installation under the system account, and that's only to make sure that the installation is successful no matter what user I'm using to deploy the software. And now I will begin this video by downloading VLC executable installation file, and for that I will click on the link that I have here that brings us to the VLC homepage. Then I will click on download VLC, and the download should start in a few seconds, and I will go to my downloads folder and wait for the executable. And it seems that it appeared here. Now that we have our executable, the next thing that we need is WiX configuration file. And for that I will go back to my GitHub page where I have few configuration files for WiX. One of them is called VLC, and this is the full configuration file that is already with all the necessary information. You can check it out if you want to, but for this video I will be using the one that's called template. So I will click on it, and then I will click on the button right here to download the configuration file. Go back to my downloads folder. Now that we have the WiX configuration file, I will right click it, select rename, and I will name it VLC. Then I will right click it once again, and I will open it with Visual Studio Code. And you can use any other text editor to open this file. And as you can see, it's an XML file. Basically, it's instructions for WiX on how to package the executable into MSI file for us. And when working with this template, we only care about this part right here. Basically, we need to fill in the necessary information that is unique to this package and the VLC installation. So first we need to name our VLC package, and I will name it VLC installer. Then for exe we need to provide the executable name. For that I will go to my downloads folder, right click on the executable, select rename, then I will select the full name to include the extension because that's very important. I will right click on the name and select copy. Go back to Visual Studio Code and paste in the value here. Then for the path, we need to provide the location where we currently have our executable. And for me, it's my downloads folder, and my downloads folder is in my D drive. So I will type d/downloads. I'm pretty sure that the location for you is a bit different. Then we need to provide silent arguments for the silent installation because we want the installation to happen silently. And for that, once again, I will go back to my GitHub page, and here I have the necessary silent switch for the silent installation. So I will select it and then copy it. Go back to Visual Studio Code and paste in the value. And then for the version, we need to provide the version number for this MSI file. Version doesn't need to be the same as the software version, because this version is only for the MSI file. But in most cases, I like to keep my MSI file version the same as the software that it installs. So because of that, I will copy the version number from my executable name, and then I will paste in the value. Then publisher is not that important, but it's a mandatory field. So I will give it a value of, let's do automation. And then we need to provide a GUID. And GUID is a unique identifier. And to generate it, we can use PowerShell. So once again, I will go back to my GitHub page, and here I have a command that we can use to generate GUID. So I will select it, copy it, and then I will open terminal, and you can open the regular PowerShell window if you're not using terminal. I will paste in the command, and every time I'm using this command, I'm getting a new unique identifier. So I will select one of these values, go back to Visual Studio Code and paste in the value here. And that's basically all the necessary information that we need to provide for WiX for it to generate the MSI file for us. And now we can go back to our command line. And here we want to change the directory in our command line to the location where we have our WiX configuration file. So for that I will type cd, and like I said, my configuration file is currently in my downloads folder That's in D drive. So I'll type D and downloads. And if I type dir, here we can see our executable file and VLC configuration file for WiX. Now to generate the MSI file, we need to type WiX, build, and then provide the WiX configuration file name, so it's VLC. And press enter. Now if I go back to my downloads folder, the MSI file appeared here. So WiX successfully generated the MSI file for us. And now we need to test it and see if it installs VLC successfully for us. So I will right click on the file, select copy, and I will go to my VMware workstation where I have a Windows virtual machine prepared. And here I have the software folder, so I will open it. I will paste the MSI file into this folder. And as you can see, I also have PSExec executable in the same folder. And that's because, like I said, I will be performing the installation under the system account. So now I will open my start menu, type cmd because we want to open another command line, and run it as administrator. And now we want to change the directory in our command line to the location where we have our files. So for that I will click here and I will copy the location. I will type cd and paste in the location into my command line and press enter. If I type dir, we can see our PSExec executable and VLC MSI file in this folder. Also, if I type who am I, it says that this command line is currently running under the user admin. Now to switch to the system account, I will be using PSExec, and I will use PSExec to open another command line, but this time under the system account. So for that I will type the PSExec executable name, then -i for interactive, -s to launch the process under the system account, and then we need to provide the process that we want to start, and in my case it's cmd. Then I will agree with the license terms, and here we have our new window. But this time if I type who am I in this window, it is saying that this window is running under the user anti-authority system. So everything that I will be doing in this window, I will be doing it as a system user. Once again, we want to change the directory in this command line to the location where we have our files. So I'll type cd, paste in the location, press enter, and if I type dir, once again we can see our files in this folder. Now to start the installation, I will type cmdc. This is not necessary, but it allows us to see when the installation is finished just by looking at the command line. So cmdc, then we need to provide the MSI file name, so it's vlc.msi, and then I will be performing the installation silently, so I will add /q and switch and press enter. Now let's wait a bit. And it seems that the installation is done. We have our VLC media player icon on our desktop. So now let's look around and see what happened in our control panel. So for that I will type control in the command line window and press enter, and it opens a control panel for us. Then I will click on install a program, and here we have our installed program list. And as you can see, we have VLC installer installed that's published by Let's Do Automation, and here is the version number. And also we have our software installed that's called VLC Media Player, and we have two entries here because we installed the MSI file that's called VLC installer, and the MSI file installed the VLC Media Player for us. And it's possible to hide VLC installer from this list, but it makes the software installation a bit hard to troubleshoot, and that's why I like to keep it. So now let's try to open VLC Media Player and see if it works. And it seems to be opening just fine. So that's it for this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and see you in the next one.